Welcome to Living Life in the End for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, the Liberated Lawyer. I help women to get everything they desire in life by equipping them with powerful strategies to achieve the fulfillment they desire and deserve. Who said you can't have it all? Clearly, they did not know about living life in the end. When women make powerful decisions and create great strategies, they can have everything they desire in life. Girlfriend, forget about choosing between being successful or fulfilled. You can be successful and fulfilled. It's time. It's time for you to get everything you desire and deserve. It's time for you to live your life on purpose. It's time for you to live a life that is fulfilled, meaningful, and full of joy. It's time for you to walk boldly in the power of your decisions. If you are going to be in this world, you need to be fulfilled in this life. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Join me for another episode of Living Life in the End, where you learn how to live fulfilled, fit, and free. Hey, it's time for another installation of conversations, libations, and revelations. Real talk for real life. How can we be fulfilled if we can't be for real? Listen in for this great conversation with purpose with my girlfriend and our favorite grown woman beverage. Get your favorite libation and join us for this great conversation and the revelations that unfold. It's about to get real. I am so excited, as I am every time, about my guest today, none other than Christa Owens. Christa, I'm so excited to have you here and welcome to Living Life in the End. Yes, yes, yes. Girlfriends, we are in for a treat. But before we get into this great conversation, let me tell you a little bit about who is joining us today. Christa Owens is a health and wellness coach and is dedicated to building a thriving community of individuals committed to living their highest ideals. Guided by her belief in John 10:10, Krista seeks to help others transform their lives and realize a life of abundance and prosperity. After the heartbreaking loss of her firstborn daughter, profound self reflection and spiritual growth dramatically shifted her perspective. This pivotal moment ignited two major changes within Krista: an embrace of uncertainty, which encouraged her decision to become an entrepreneur, and a fervent pursuit of God's purpose for her life. In 2014, after years of prayer, God revealed her life's purpose, which now guides her personal and professional endeavors. Currently, Krista is a brand ambassador at Plexus, experts in the gut microbiome and producer of the only patented pink drink. Plexus' mission is to spread health and happiness to those who want more out of life and is in full alignment with Krista's purpose and core belief in abundant living. She's also an active member of Pipeline Angels, a coalition of female angel investors who support minority and non binary femme owned startups through early round financing. And we're going to talk more about her latest adventure, Christopher's Collective, a partnership with none other than yours truly, where we're focusing on creating transformative experiences for self discovery and personal growth for high impact women. Now, Krista and I have so much in common. One of those is that she also is a Harvard alum. She received her MBA from the Harvard Business School, and she is a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and I love her still. And we are both members of Jack and Jill. of America. Krista, welcome to Conversations, Libations, and Revelations.
Yay, thank you for having me.
It is so great to finally have this opportunity. We've been talking about having this particular conversation for quite some time, and we have travailed through the odds to make it
Yeah.
happen. And of course, I have shared your illustrious bio with our listeners, but I want to hear from
Yeah.
you. And if you will share with us the who, the what, and the why. Tell us, who is the real Krista Owens? What is it that you really do? And why do you live life in the end?
Well, thank you for having me again, Stephanie. And I tell you, I love these questions. When someone asks who you are, it can be a little bit of a stumper because, you wonder, do you want to know like who I am professionally? Do you want to know like what I do? Do you want to know like my hobbies? And so, what's interesting is I am on a path of rediscovering who Krista is. I've been spending a lot of time around that question. Most recently, I've been participating in a very unique kind of mindfulness practice, and one of the exercises which I just found to be super powerful was the getting a picture of yourself in your childhood years that
Ah,
it
yes.
captures who you are, that shows the essence of who you are. And so I was looking through my pictures and found this picture that I've seen many times, but given this assignment, I looked at it in a different way. I'm standing there with this huge grin, big eyes, my arms are up, and it really does remind me of Krista and those things that I think really are at the essence of who I am, even at 53 years old, are bright and curious. I love to solve problems, compassionate, playful, and creative. And why that experience was so powerful is, life can get a hold of you and start to cover over some of those things. So I've really kind of reinvigorated this quest for, more playfulness, more creativity in my life, because, adulting can be a challenge and we get so serious.
Tell me about
So,
it.
so that's a little bit who I am. Some other things I love to, I haven't played in a while, but tennis was the sport that I grew up playing. So I want to get back to that. I love to memory keep in the form of scrapbooking, but also kind of documenting family stories and learning more about my ancestors. I'm not too into ancestry.com yet, more my immediate family and just my own journey, my kids' journey, my family's journey around what's happening in their lives. I love doing that. Um, what do I do? I mean, you kind of read it, but I would say on a high level, it's just helping people feel better. I mean, that's really,
Yes.
I think, at the core of what I like to do is help people. I really am passionate about building wealth and helping people either build an additional stream of income or look at other ways to enhance the wealth that they're building. Really want to help people dream again. And, the vehicle that I'm
Yeah.
using that is Plexus. So Plexus, as you mentioned, is a company that produces plant-based supplements and is really focused on gut health. The more in my journey that I've learned about gut health, it is a really critical component to our overall health. And so it's just been, and there's I'm very much into learning about the body, how it works, and the mind body connection. So I'm super fascinated
Hmm.
with how emotions show up in our bodies, um, figurative and literal terms. For example, like gut health, things that happen in our gut. We might say something made me sick to my stomach. Well, literally, there are things going on in your gut emotionally when you do that. So I just really feel like it's a great space for me to be in because it's really allowing me to merge all of my life experience and really my true purpose that God has revealed to me around
Hmm.
healing and helping others. So that's what I do. Living life in the and I when I met you and we started having these conversations, of which we've had many, but this I loved that living life in the and because one of my personal growth areas has been around, getting out of that binary or black and white thinking that it's not necessarily on or off. It could be in the middle.
Hmm.
You're calling it
Right.
the and, some people call it the gray space, whatever you call it. It's getting comfortable with, for me, my journey has been embracing uncertainty, the control. I'm very much like to be in control. I'm a planner,
Mm.
planner.
Yes.
And, the experience of losing my daughter really taught me that you're really not in control of your life fully when even if you think you are.
Mhm.
And being able to learn how
Yes.
to embrace uncertainty was a big part of the living in the and for me. And then the
Mhm.
second thing is, this word space is coming up in my life a lot. Like, I do a
Mhm.
workout, we do some foam rolling, and the person that leads that, she talks a lot about creating space in the body. And then I was talking with my coach about, decluttering some of my spaces in the home to create
Yes.
space, right? And so I
Mhm.
think living in the and too is this idea for me about creating margin, creating space that I don't have to always be full, to the
Ah,
max, to the
yeah.
brim, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally. Like, it's okay to have some part of your life that's not accounted for per se, that
Mhm.
allows you to take
Yes.
to pause, to rest, to reflect, recover, rejuvenate. Because I've come from that school of thought, like, no pain, no gain. Kind of grew up with that. Like, it's push, it's grind, it's strive, it's achieve. It's all of that, what we would call like yang energy, like, force energy. And then, but there has to be the complementary yin, right? The resting, the
Mhm.
rest and digest, the healing, all of that. So that really has been, I'd say, my most, recent work in my personal growth is being okay with space.
Yes. Yes, and that's something that I've never really thought about it in the way you've just described
Mm.
it about, you know, making space for
Mhm.
your life and making space in your life. And I think a lot of times, particularly for high achieving women, and both of us are high achieving women, we are focused on filling our plates or
Mhm.
having full plates, or we're focused on filling up our time and filling up our lives and
Mhm.
filling in the holes, if you will, filling in the voids. And I never really thought about it from the perspective of what you've just shared about how important it is to create space and be intentional in that regard, because if we desire more, there must be room for more. And when we are not intentional about what's in our space or what
Mhm.
we're using our space for, literally and figuratively, when we're not intentional in that regard, we won't have
Yeah.
room for the abundance we seek, for the life we desire, and for just room to
Yeah.
grow. So that is a very great way to think about how we can live life
Mm.
in the end,
Yeah.
because truly that's what it also boils down to. It's moving away from this concept that you've got to choose this space or that space, or otherwise boxing yourself into a space by these societal norms, these supposed tos, these ideals that don't necessarily serve
Yeah.
us. So that's a great way to really embrace
Yeah.
the path to fullness, if you will. The path to fullness is opening up
I know, and
space.
it's so counter culture, right? So counterintuitive to the way we've been taught, right? And the Bible does speak
Mhm.
about this though, those who want to gain life have to lose it, and those, right? And so
Mhm. Mhm.
this idea of letting go to let things in is really, really powerful. I was listening to a podcast this week, and the title of it was Healthy Things Grow and Growing Things Change. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to
Mm.
listen to that. And it was just powerful. It was kind of this same idea that, you know, part of the and also is growth and change, right? Like,
Mhm.
things aren't
Mhm.
going to stay the same. Nor
Right.
should they, right? Because if you're healthy, you're growing, and growth equals
Yes.
change. And so it's learning how to embrace that change as it comes And again, that's
Hmm.
part of that creating space so you can grow into a new space. And I think it's a constant evolution. It's not, you don't grow and arrive and be done. I mean, it's a constant pruning, it's a constant growing, it's a constant shifting and
Right.
changing. So,
Yes, and that's something that is so important to remember is that if we desire more, we must embrace change. And, we get so comfortable in what we know. We get so comfortable in what we have, yet we don't like perhaps what we have, or
mhm.
we might even just desire to have more. But like you say, you've got to give up something in order to get more
Yeah.
and to really be able to um, fulfill the fullness
Mhm.
of your life, you
Yeah.
know? So, yes, yes. Well, I need to take a little back because I forgot to ask
I
you.
know. It's
I
like,
got
she
so
didn't ask me
excited. I forgot to ask you, girl, what you drinking?
what well, listen, you didn't need to go back on that. It's just plain old spring water, Stephanie. It's not that exciting. It's not
That's all
that
right. That's
exciting.
all right. Water is very important. We need to be hydrated. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our skin.
Yes.
So, even though you may not think that water isn't sexy, water is quite sexy, quite sexy,
Yes, that's what I'm
quite
drinking.
sexy.
It's what I drink
Yes.
90% of the time. I just drink water. And yeah, sometimes I'll have a bubbly
Yeah.
water, but tonight I just got still plain water.
Yes. Well, I'm taking a little break, I suppose, from my training. I'm not in immediate prep. So I'm actually having red wine.
Good for
So that
you.
is actually, yes, yes. So I always, say this. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it's my story and I'm sticking to it. And that is that, red wine, first of all, is good for you, is good for your heart. But they say that drinking a glass of red wine before going to bed is like 2 hours of exercise.
What?
I think that, yeah, that's what
I
they
need to
say.
vet that,
I
Stephanie.
read that
I
on
don't
the
know about
internet,
that.
and if it's on the internet, it must be true.
I haven't come across that one, but it might be. It might be. I mean, talk about red wine sales if that's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but I am so glad that we are able to have this conversation. And, this has been a culmination of knowing each other now, I guess for 7 years, really,
Yeah.
because I met you when I moved to Atlanta and transferred into the Buckhead
Yeah.
chapter of Jack and Jill.
Hmm.
And of course we would see each other at chapter meetings. You were treasurer at the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were treasurer at the time, so of course I knew who you were. You were the money
Yeah.
lady for the chapter. But we would interact throughout. And I think when we really got a chance though to know each other was when I think you ended up having an extra ticket or had some extra
Yeah.
tickets to go see Michelle Obama when she was doing her
What?
becoming tour.
Yes, I remember
And
that.
yes, and I lucked up and got an opportunity to go with you, and I got a chance to meet your mom and
Yeah.
your mom and your sister, and I'm trying to think, and one of our other Jack and Jill
Yes.
sisters uh, came along, and it was just the most beautiful evening. And and that was kind of the beginning, if you will, of us
Yeah.
getting to really know each
Yeah.
other. And we would talk off and on, and had the intent of getting together. Literally, I think it was like over a year.
Yes.
We were we were texting
Yeah.
or DMing each other about getting together. And we say, yeah, yeah, we need to get together. And we'd never get together. And finally had a chance to do that and look at where it's led us. So, you know, I remember, I guess it was about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago
Yeah.
now, we finally connected
Yes.
and made the opportunity to meet up, and we met up at a coffee shop in
Yep.
Midtown. And I just remember that day. I didn't know what necessarily we talk about. We were just catching up and ended up having just a realization of how similar our paths were in terms of just where we were on this self discovery.
Mhm.
And you alluded to this earlier about how, we never really arrive
Yeah.
if we're lucky, honestly, if
Mhm.
we're lucky. Because I think when you arrive at a spot and you stay there, you really lose a lot of your power, if you will, because you've become static
Mhm.
and you stop growing.
Yeah.
And when you really commit to true evolution, the journey never truly ends. So, I just reflect back on that day when we met up at the coffee house and just got to talking and realized, oh wow, we have so much in common. And I would love to hear just more about kind of your
Yeah.
journey and how you have been
Yeah.
evolving on this path of self-discovery. I want to hear about, honestly, let's go all
This
the way back. Let's go back to that moment in 2014
Yeah.
where it really began to
Yeah.
crystallize for you up until
Yeah,
now.
so really even going back, I when I was in business school, I took a course called self-assessment, which
Mhm.
really intrigued me. It was not, if you can imagine, at a business school, the most popular class for people to sign up to,
Right.
but I feel like it was one of the most, probably the class that I used the most out of all the classes I took
Mhm.
at business school.
Mhm.
And it really sparked a curiosity in me to like, oh, there's this thing called myself that I could get to know on a deeper level. It just kind of up to that
Mhm.
point never occurred to me. Just was living life, doing the
Yes.
things, whatever. And so I think that really was the beginning of um a curiosity, a quest for always wanting to grow and know more about myself. Okay, so that was idling in the background as I'm moving on in my life. And then my firstborn daughter passed away. She had a condition called trisomy 18, which is a chromosome disorder,
Mhm.
and basically is life
Mhm.
limiting. And she passed away within 7
Mhm.
weeks of being born. And it was
Mhm.
that kind of crisis that really kind of shook me up to, hey,
Mm.
life isn't gonna necessarily be the way you planned out. Because at that time, I think I had a 15-year plan probably down to the day, and that all
Mhm.
got blown out of the water during that experience. What that experience did though, which was so powerful for me and I'm grateful for it, is it opened me up to the idea of surrendering, the idea of
Yeah.
letting go, and
Yeah.
how much energy you burn trying to control every aspect of your life. It's exhausting. So it just really opened me
Mhm.
up that, you know what, be more open to the unknown, because
Mm.
God's got you. So that was it.
Mm.
So that was the first step, was like, you know what, I'm going to leave corporate America. At that time I was in corporate America, had always felt like corporate America really wasn't my exact fit. I mean, I had some amazing jobs, I've worked with amazing people, and I'll tell you, the things I've always loved about jobs is the people I work with. It was never really the work.
Right.
And so I just always felt like, it just never, it was always this feeling like, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. So after
Mhm.
my daughter Lauren, that's her name, passed, it was like, it was just this boldness came over me, like, I'm just gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna
Mhm.
try this. My first idea of entrepreneurship was wedding and event planning. So I opened my wedding and event planning business, and I just ran with it because I felt like at that point, I mean, what do I have to lose? I mean, at this point, what do I have to
Right.
lose? So that kind of started that journey, and I really enjoyed that work. As I started having more children, was blessed to have three additional beautiful babies. I wanted to spend time with them at home, and so I was always looking for things that could keep me home based while also,
Mhm.
pursuing my professional passions, which is one of those living in the ands, right? Like, I'm a mom,
Right. Right.
and I still have professional things that I want to do. So,
Right.
but I always felt like I still had, while I felt I was heading in the right direction, there was always this thing of like, but what is my real purpose? Like, I don't know if I'm really
Mhm.
like, what is my purpose on this earth? And so I was praying that, and I was, constantly looking at different things. And I did a wedding event planning, and then I had a kid's birthday party franchise. And then we moved to Dallas,
Mhm.
and I was just always kind of seeking, never feeling like I quite got there. And then one night, and it's the only time I would say I ever heard from God. I'm one of those people. It's like I don't ever hear from God. I mean, you hear people say God spoke to them. I'm like, what? What does it sound like? But this one
Yeah.
time, and it was at night. I was about to wake up because my daughter had wet her bed, and she was coming to the room to get me to change her sheets. And I was like in between consciousness, but I heard
Mhm.
a voice say that I was created to heal. And then I
Oh.
woke up. My daughter was standing there, and I woke up, and I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, that was from the Lord," and I was like, but then I was like, "Well, what does that mean? I mean, that's kind of big, heal. I mean, am I laying hands on?" Like I really didn't know what
Yeah,
that
right.
meant.
Like,
And
what does that
so
mean?
I journaled about it the next day because I didn't want to lose the thought. I wanted to journal that, like, this happened to me, and I want to write it down. And then I think I just kind of surrendered to it. I put it in the back, and I kind of kept moving. Well, lo and
Mhm.
behold, several years later, this was not in my bio. I ended up becoming a Weight Watchers coach and started helping people on their weight loss journeys. That work really resonated with me, helping people get to their weight loss
Mhm.
journey. It was so fabulous. And I think that's where my passion for, you know, the body and just learning how the body works and people losing weight. And then I saw people losing weight and then gaining weight and losing weight. And then Plexus came along and just fueled this idea that we have to heal on the inside before it shows on the outside. And how
Mhm.
when you clean up
Mhm.
the inside, a lot gets cleared away, including your gut instincts. There is that literal thing again,
Yeah.
and just feeling better and feeling energized. So that really, like, the path. And then I started in that work, starting to do some self-awareness work, personal growth work, where I was looking at some of my own, like, limiting beliefs, my own healing work that I needed to do. And so really what's
Mhm.
coming around, and we'll get into how this is coming full circle for us and how our paths are joining, is my journey. I realizing the healing journey really is my personal journey. I think what God was saying was, you were
Mhm.
created to heal from your own things, and
Mhm.
thereby, when you do that work, you can then maybe help someone else in their journey.
Right, right. And that's the beauty, I believe, in healing and in the work that we do. And is I know just for me, living life in the end was born from a very personal place and my personal struggle of figuring out how to do and be all these different things. And I knew that, this was not something that only I was experiencing. And I am committed to my podcast. I'm committed to coaching and committed to just living life in the end because, I believe that it is something that we all deserve.
Mhm.
And it's a venture, not really a venture, but it's an effort that has an external impact and an internal impact
Mhm.
because the more I believe this, the more I live it, the more I improve my own life. But I found just from this perspective with experience and from others, when we show up for ourselves, we inspire others to do the same and whatever that looks like. So when you heal
Mhm.
yourself, you inspire other women to heal
Yeah.
themselves. And when I live life in the end, I truly believe that there's some woman somewhere who will see my life and be inspired to create her own version of living life in the end. And that's why it's so important for us to be vocal, I suppose, or to articulate our life's purpose in our actions and in our relationships and in how we show up in the world, how we take up space.
Yes.
How we take up
How we
space,
take up
right.
space. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
I think,
Right.
part of is so this interesting that you started this podcast with Krista, Who Are You? Which I really think is kind of the core, has been some of the core of my healing journey, right? It's knowing thyself, but it's also loving thyself, right? And so
Oh,
that's been
yes.
a lot of my journey of learning how to, first and foremost, love myself, have grace and compassion for myself, right? Just as I
Mhm.
would anybody else. Because I think that's the doorway to healing. It's also the doorway, I believe, to loving others. It's this like
Mhm.
this reciprocity piece, right? That you can't give what you don't
Mhm.
have. You can't give to someone else what you're
Mhm.
not giving yourself. And that's such a
Right.
different, like, again, I just think about some of the things we set up for children, right? That are
Mhm.
well-meaning. It is good to
Yeah.
um be kind to others and to, right? But it has
Mhm.
to come from a place that does not negate what you're giving yourself, and really understanding that self-care really is being loving um,
Yeah.
to others.
Right. Right. I listened to, I haven't finished it today, but I was listening to a podcast episode, my favorite, one of my favorite podcasts other than my own,
Mhm.
Redefining Wealth, and Patrice Washington is, her current guest is Nakia Holmes,
Oh,
and
love
but they
her.
were talking about, yes, yes, and they were talking. Nakia has a new book, and it's focused on self care. And the thing that she pointed out, which you just hit the nail on the head about, is that, a lot of times we think about self care for the purpose of being better for others.
Mhm.
When you give yourself self care, or when you embrace self care, you can show up better for others.
Mhm.
And one of the points that Nakia made, which ties into what you just talked about, is self care is for your purpose. And when you have that focus of, I'm going to take care of me, I'm going to love on me, I love who I
Mhm.
am, other people get the benefit of that. Yes, but the purpose is to make yourself the best and highest version of you. And when you do that, you can't help but
Right.
overflow and be able to give to
Yeah.
others. And I think, that's something that we often miss the point of being loving, is we think that love always has to be external. And yes,
Yeah.
truly it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Truly, or eventually, yes,
Mhm.
because I believe we were meant to love, and to love those around us, be surrounded by love. But it the purest form of love for others has to emanate from a love for yourself.
Yeah.
A love for yourself, because when it comes from that source, I believe it is its fullest, it is its most loving,
Mhm.
and it is its most authentic,
Yeah.
because it's not coming from a place of hurt
Yeah.
or fear, even that
Yeah.
if I give you this love, I won't have enough.
Yeah.
It truly pours from this place of true abundance.
Abundance.
I
Yes.
love myself so
Yeah.
much that I have no fear about giving you love,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I know that just like I created this love for myself,
Yeah.
I can create more. Just like I create this love for you,
Yeah.
we can create more.
Yeah.
And it's just ever flowing.
Yeah. I
Yes.
love I That's so powerful.
Yes. Yes.
It's so powerful, because, like I said, I think that, we're I always viewed love as giving love to others, but really, like you said, love emanates from a place. True love,
Mm-hmm.
emanates from a place, and that place is from abundance and fullness within yourself. So I love that.
Yes. 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 You know, when we reconnected, if you will, or kind of really finally connected
Yeah. Yeah.
back in that coffee shop over a year ago, one of the things that we really found an affinity in was, both of us at that time had recently turned
Mhm.
50 and had really embraced getting past the golden line, if you will. And how and we commiserated on how beautiful it was to fully embrace that passage,
Yeah.
rite of passage, if you
Yeah.
will, and how committed we are to really ensuring that all the years of experience that we have are able to fuel us
Mhm.
to create new
Mhm.
experiences, but mostly recognizing that we are not bound by any previous experience or bound by any notion other than this ability to really live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about, or reflect
Yeah.
back on that
Yeah.
conversation, what are some of the things that you've truly embraced in this
Yeah.
season, in this golden season
Yeah.
on your path towards fulfillment?
Yeah, I think we're at an interesting time because I think that, we are certainly living longer, and which is creating opportunity for, I'm going to speak on women to have multiple
Mhm.
acts in their lives, right? It's not
Mhm.
just, grow up, have kids, retire, and then that's it. There's many phases of that and there's many versions of that. So I think that's exciting because I think
Yes.
we're in a time where we can rewrite what the golden years and what going through menopause looks like.
Yes.
And I think that's exciting. So for me, like I'm definitely again in an and space here because I have just launched my second one off to college this year out of 3.
Yes.
So have 2 in college and 1 at home. So that's a kind of straddling the empty nest, but not quite, and
Right.
then figuring out and then what does that bring. And so I think some of the
Mhm.
exciting things it brings is more time to pursue, to get back to that question of who's Krista, but also to really dig into this purpose that I know I have. Like I can really start pouring into that in a bigger way than I could before. Um i think i think it's also the freedom. I think of this
Mhm.
stage of life, here's what I hope. Maybe there's some millennials listening to this. I hope you guys listen to this and like implement this stuff before you get to 50. But this idea that, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Like you don't have to wait till you're 50 to start like connecting to yourself and feeling free and being who you are, right? Hopefully you
Right.
get in touch with that sooner, but I think, I think that it's a challenge, especially if you have a family. You spend a
Mhm.
lot of energy, and if you have a family and you're working outside the home, I mean, I don't even know where you get the time to connect to self, right? This is the
Mhm.
conversation around really carving that out. So what I'm finding at this stage of my life is a reconnection to myself and excitement about that and the freedom that comes with that. So when you start to challenge some of these limiting beliefs that you've lived with, that I've lived with,
Mhm.
some of the people pleasing, putting myself last, like starting to challenge that now is opening
Mhm.
um just a whole space that's like fresh, new, energizing, and is really, I mean, it's really awesome because the
Mhm.
possibilities, I mean, today where I sit, the possibilities that I see are far outweigh anything I think I've really envisioned in my life in a long time. And that's exciting.
Mhm. Yes, and because you mentioned something that I think is just the perfect segue for um, this next phase of our conversation, but the freedom to reconnect
Mhm.
with who you are.
Mhm.
And and I do say I do truly believe that millennials and was it Gen Z
Mhm.
and Gen
Gen Y, I
Alpha,
think.
Gen
Gen,
Y,
I don't
right,
know.
Gen
I
Y.
lose track.
I think the alphas are they're itty bitties right now. They're not big kids yet. But anyway, I do believe that our generation is probably the last generation to really catch on to this ideal that you don't have to wait until you're 50 to figure out who you are, because millennials truly, I believe, because of how they've grown up, the world of possibility, the world of
Yeah.
technology, and just the cultural influences, I don't really think they have the
They don't
challenges
have an
we
issue.
have
They
with it.
don't
They're
have an
like,
issue. I
shoot,
just
girl,
think that
what you talking about? you know, I been knew that. But I do think that for our peers,
yes.
we have not always been given the permission to focus on ourselves.
Mhm.
And in fact, I would dare say that we have been castigated for self love, or,
Mhm.
grew up thinking that way, that, you are supposed to put everybody
Yeah.
first, and, that you are supposed to put yourself last. And, and I don't even know what it is about turning 50. I don't know if it was coincidental that the awakening
Yeah.
that I experienced in my life happened at that age, or if those two things just happened to coincide. But I'm so grateful that the past 7 years for me have been this journey of awakening.
Mhm.
It was forced on me in many ways, in that, its ultimate genesis was the disruption in my life that was a result of my divorce,
Yeah.
because it changed the whole trajectory of my life
Yeah.
in so many different ways. And so I didn't really have the luxury of just deciding, hoo hoo,
Yeah.
I'm going to have an awakening. It was just like,
Right.
bam,
There was a force.
like,
Yeah.
all right, what you going to do now?
Mhm.
But I'm so grateful that I embraced the opportunity to have that awakening. And one of the biggest things that you and I have been able to connect and create together is our newest venture, Christopher's
Christopher's
Collection.
Collective.
Yes,
Yes.
and collective. I said the wrong thing, because I don't know why I can't talk tonight. Christopher's Collective. And just so you know, guys, Christopherus is the combination of our names, Krista and Stephanie. But there's a lot more to
Yeah.
that. And when we connected in that coffee shop over a year ago, we truly had this connection around a reawakening
Mhm.
and transformation
Mhm.
and the commitment to transformation. And one of the things that I thought was so beautiful, because prior to meeting with you that day, I had in my mind the idea about wanting to do something to transform women's lives. And I wanted to have a live event, because at that point, I really had not stepped back fully into
Mhm.
coaching. I was recommitting to that. And but I knew I wanted to do something, because I wanted other women to experience the reawakening I experienced, in their own way. And we get to talking, and we're sharing our experiences. And I think you may have said something first. I've kind of been thinking about, I think
Mhm.
I might want to do a retreat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you may have said it
Yeah.
first. And when you said that, I was just like, it was like the bell started ringing,
Yeah.
and the and the sky opened up, and I was like, oh, and it was beautiful to experience that agreement,
Mhm.
really,
Mhm.
around this desire to help other women, and this desire to share this experience, and to ensure that other women had a safe space, where they would be able to really ask that question, who am
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
And not ask it from the perspective of questioning their existence, but asking it from the perspective of accepting the challenge to discover who
Ooh, I
they
like
are, and
that.
to
To
create.
create, like, I love that
Yeah.
word create,
Mhm.
and I do think that the idea behind the retreat is to create that space and let whatever comes out that needs to come out. But I think when you
Mhm.
get into that safe space, when you get into a place where you can get through all the clutter, you can get through all the noise, and you can just be,
Mhm.
we all have a
Mhm.
creative energy and a source within us. I mean, we're all,
Right.
you don't have to be an artist to create. That's another thing, shifting mindset. Just because you're not a musician or an actor, we think of those professions as being the creatives, but we all create on any
Mhm.
number of levels. And so I think that, which is really what's powerful about us coming together, us just literally coming together to catch up. I think that's literally like, hey, Stephanie, let's just catch up. Because
Mhm.
what you may not know is, so Stephanie graduated out of the chapter. So once your kids graduate from high school, then you go to a different group, which is our associate moms. And so Stephanie had graduated out of the chapter. I was still in the chapter, so we weren't seeing each other as much. And so
Right.
that was like, hey, we need to get together. We just need to catch up. What's going on? Like, I was starting to get to know her, and then it was like kind of didn't see her. So we really kind of came together with no agenda really other than to just catch up.
Right. We're just meeting up for
And
coffee.
then, one thing led to another, and this idea came out that we were fully aligned on and had been kind of pondering in our own way. And so just like
Mhm.
it literally kind of took off from there. I mean, I think we left there, and then like maybe a few weeks later we're looking into places, and we just like, it started. And so
Right.
just the power of connection, and the power of, like you said, like just do the thing. Just meet up. Just,
Right.
you never know
Right.
what comes out of this.
Right. Right. And the thing is, I think I don't know if irony is the word,
Yeah.
synchronicity. Synchronicity really is the word. Synchronicity is the word, because I had in my mind that I wanted to do a retreat. You had in your mind that you wanted to do a retreat, and we happened to come together to just catch up, and the beauty of the conversation flowed, and we were able to realize the synergy we had in our individual
Hmm.
purposes that now is a
Yeah.
collective, the
There's definitely,
Christopher's
that sounds
collective.
so good, Stephanie. I mean, it's just
Doesn't it?
like,
Doesn't
it just, yeah, it just
it?
flows. It just flows.
Yeah.
And it's just a
Yes.
beautiful, which again speaks to the alignment, right? We have,
Hmm.
and we can talk more. I mean, we got to get into the flutter and all of the things, like how this,
Yes, yes, because I was going to say, we've been hinting around about what we're doing, but I think it's just time to just go ahead
let's
and
just put it
spill
out
the
there.
beans.
Let's go.
Yes, in case you haven't figured it out, Krista and I are offering a retreat for women. And this is not just a retreat, it's a weekend of transformation, rejuvenation, and empowerment.
Mhm.
And the retreat is the Rejuvenate, Radiate,
So,
Celebrate You retreat. And it is taking place this November, November 15th through the 17th at the Limelight Inn in Dahlonega, Georgia. And this is truly an opportunity for you to rediscover yourself. And just as Krista and I have, connect with like minded women and emerge renewed and inspired. And Krista, you mentioned this flutter. We're calling our first group of women who will be attending this retreat, not attending this retreat,
yeah.
experiencing this
Experiencing.
retreat,
Yes.
our golden flutter. Why don't
Yeah.
you share how we
Yeah.
came up with this flutter? What is a flutter?
Okay, so this is so interesting, and this is also the power of like, connecting and skill sets, right? Because Stephanie's the lawyer, I'm the business person. So we get this idea where we're totally aligned on, and my first thought is, okay, we got to come up with like a logo, and we got to like I just went into straight like marketing mode. Like, how are we going to encapsulate this? How are we going to convey this? And so we were just thinking about, we kept talking about transformation. We kept talking about, emerging as
Mm-hmm.
a different person on the other end. And it was like butterfly. That's what came to mind for me. It was like a butterfly. This is a butterfly experience. We're becoming butterflies, right? So sent that to Steph.
Mm-hmm.
We talked like, oh my gosh, perfect. We're gonna do butterfly. You want to be able to butterfly. So then it was like, okay, well, what are we gonna call, like we were trying to figure out what coming together our partnership would be, and it was like, so I looked at, okay, a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, they cocoon, right? So I'm like,
Hmm.
Cocoon doesn't sound like a really great company name though.
That's not too
That
sexy.
don't really work. So I was like, that's a bummer. But then here's the beauty of like AI and all this stuff, right? Like, what's a synonym for cocoon? And then chrysalis came up, which is I think probably the
Yes.
biological term for
Right.
a cocoon is called a chrysalis. So then I thought, that's interesting. But then I thought that's also kind of complicated. People like, who really gets that, right?
Yes.
But then we started playing with our names, right? It was like Krista, Stephanie, and then it was like Christoph, or put the beginning of her name with my name. And then this Christoph came up and it was like, wait a minute, that kind of sounds like chrysalis. I mean, if you Christophilus. So that's how that came apart because we really wanted I think we are both of us are very intentional about the things we do, and I'm super into like words and meanings and the power that words have. So
Mhm. Mhm.
having a name that really meant something, I mean, I'm sure I could have just come up with something really cool, but like that it means something was really powerful. Okay, so then now we're talking about the butterflies and we're like, okay, it's a butterfly. And I happen to I think this is just divine, was like, look up statistics on butterflies, just learn more about butterflies, right? And so one of the first things that came up was a group of butterflies in flight are a flutter. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. I thought flutter was just a verb, like flutter your wings,
Yeah.
but it's actually a
Yeah.
noun. Like it's a group of, and then like we talked about, it's like, it's the perfect encapsulation of what, because we're bringing women together to go through this
Mhm.
transformative experience together to then go fly together. So that's the golden
Yes.
flutter. So there you got it. That's
Yes.
how it all came about. And it's just, that just all kind of rolled together. I mean, that was not a really hard thing. We always kind of started talking about this butterfly and what color, and then we started talking about colors of it, and it was like, well, golds for sure because we're golden years, and
Yes.
it's just been beautifully coming together, which is also powerful. I mean, this idea of enjoy the journey. I mean, enjoy the
Right.
journey and the process. That has been, if nothing else happens out of it, has been like such a blessing to me. This journey of growth and
Yes.
you know stepping outside comfort
Right.
zone, all the things.
Right. Right. And we designed this retreat experience, with the mindset of truly giving the women who will participate the space to begin their own personal transformation. On Friday, we're going to start with an exercise and just activities that ground us
Mhm.
in the purpose of the weekend.
Mhm.
We will begin to experience this together and to begin to form those relationships because doing things by yourself, yes, you can be effective, but it is so much more beautiful to have like-minded women to experience this along with you. So we'll, set the stage for that on Friday, and then we have, a whole day of workshops and activities on that Saturday. That this is not just get together and feel good, but really
Mhm.
substantive strategy that enables women to give voice to their dreams and to give structure to the how. How
Mhm.
are you going to transform your life?
Mhm.
So that's what we'll do on Saturday, and of course, there's always got to be a party because we
Party.
have much to celebrate because we're going to rejuvenate
Yeah.
and reignite that little girl dream within us that is now a grown ass woman. I couldn't go too far without dropping a little word in. But that's how we'll start, is rejuvenate and then radiate and really begin to allow our individual and collective lights to shine. And you've got to
Yeah.
celebrate because we have so much to celebrate, even just the courage of deciding that, hey, I am going to go on a path to
Yeah.
rediscover me.
Yeah.
And, it's a rediscovery as much as it is a true first time
Yeah.
discovery, because every day is a new opportunity to create a different version of ourselves, and to create more for
Yeah.
ourselves. And then of course, we'll close it out on Sunday with bringing all of that together,
Yes.
and everyone will walk away from that retreat not only feeling good. Like I always say, I want you to uh, learn something. I want you to feel something, and I want you to do something. And
Mhm.
so our golden flutter, will have that opportunity.
And
So
you're gonna get some cool
we
stuff. We're curating a really
yes.
fun assortment of things to help you in this journey. And I also just want to say, like, just, transformation can be on a lot of levels. And so, for those that might say, well, gosh, I don't have a transformation to do, or I'm good in my life or whatever. It could be as simple as transformation just to me means connecting with something on the inside that then manifests outside.
Mhm.
So that might simply be recommitting to playing an instrument that you grew up playing. Maybe you played the
Mhm.
piano through high school and then you put it down, and maybe
Mhm.
transformation you is bringing music back into your life.
Mhm.
It could be learning something new. Maybe you've said, I've always wanted to learn a language or whatever, learn how to play a sport or
Mhm.
whatever it is. That can be transformation too. So it's not necessarily that you have to like turn your life upside down. It could be just connecting to those parts. But I think I think what really happens when you start to look into those little spaces on the inside, that those little cracks into things turn into, you'll
Mhm.
be surprised at the impact that it will have on your life. So I just
Mhm.
think,
Right.
being open is a big part of it too.
Right. Right. Being open, being free, and being courageous.
Hmm.
Because it takes courage to decide at this stage in your life, hey, you know what? I want to do something new. I want to be someone new. I want to be who I used to be
Hmm.
when I felt the best
Yeah.
me. That takes a lot of courage. And so we are creating an opportunity for you to have that space. So before we close out, of course, we want to make sure that we let women know how they can join the Golden Flutter. And if you are interested in, not just interested, if you're passionate, if you are intrigued, if you are just invigorated by the thought of being able to rejuvenate, radiate, celebrate you, then you can email the team at christopoulos.com. And I'm going to spell that for you just in case you can't figure it out phonetically. It is Christopoulos, Phalilis. See, I can't even spell myself.
Ah,
This is
good
so
stuff.
funny. I guess
Thank
I was
you.
doing the alphabet. So let me just start that over. The team at Christopoulos.com. Christephalis.com. And we'll have that in the show notes, of course.
Hmm.
But just email the team, one word, at Christopoulos.com and put in the subject line Golden Flutter or I want to join the Golden Flutter, and we will send you an invitation because this is an invitation only
Yes.
opportunity because it is truly a weekend where we want to curate
Hmm.
a safe space. And so we want to ensure that those who are there are who is supposed to be there for that group. So again, the Rejuvenate, Radiate, Celebrate You retreat is November 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Limelight Inn in Dahlonega, Georgia. And all you have to do is email the team at christopoulos.com and put in the subject line Golden Flutter, and you will receive an invitation. So,
Yes.
Krista, it every time we get together, we have just the best time and have just the best conversations. But all good things must transform. I won't say come to an end, but all good things must transition
Yes.
in the next. And I have just really enjoyed this conversation, and there have just been so many nuggets. And I always like to end with a little
Hmm.
takeaway from kind of if there was one thing that we talked about during this time that you would want our listeners to remember, what is the one thing that you would share with
Oh my
them?
gosh, just one? I thought I could do three, Stephanie. I thought you wanted me to do 3. Okay, I'm gonna try.
Well, if you
Okay, so here's what I would say. I think this, I think it was powerful, our connection, and I would say if you're ever getting a nudge to meet up with someone, connect with someone, you have
Mhm.
a nudge for an idea that's sitting there like, "I should do this." Entertain it, do it, just do it.
Yes.
There's never gonna be the right time, the perfect time, just do it, and time is short, so do it, because look what is coming
Yes.
out of this, is incredible, and I think the second part of that is share your story. When you're taught, share
Mhm.
your story, and you may say, "Oh, I don't have a story," or "My story's not exciting," or does not matter, every story matters. You are
It
uniquely
does.
created to be on a path that is uniquely you, but it is someone else is walking that same path or dealing with some of the same things. So that's what I feel is so important that we don't do enough of is
Yes.
sharing our stories, sharing our experiences and passing along the wisdom we gain as a result.
Yes, yes. Well, I would say, there are, of course, so many nuggets, but the thing I think that stuck out to me the most was the beauty of embracing uncertainty
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
realizing that there's more uncertainty than there is certainty. And when you embrace that and release the need to have everything buttoned up,
Yeah.
planned to a T, and being in control, when you embrace uncertainty and embrace it from the perspective of the possibility that uncertainty holds,
Yeah. That's so powerful.
you truly expand your capacity and you allow yourself to have an even more beautiful experience than what you would have
Mhm.
decided for yourself or determined that you ought to be
Yeah.
doing. So that's my biggest takeaway from what we've discussed. So this is so great. And I thank you so much for joining me for this great conversation. And I can't wait to join you and the other women of our Golden Flutter for our inaugural retreat in November. And I can't wait to get these requests
Yeah.
to be a part of this Golden Flutter and truly work together to create something beautiful and help the women who join us to rediscover, discover, and create the life they desire and deserve.
Yay.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much for joining me for this great conversation. If our listeners want to get in contact with you, what are your social media handles? And we'll make sure we include
Yes,
that in
thank you.
socials as well.
So, well, first of all, thank you, Stephanie, for having me. This has been fabulous. My Instagram is Christa 18, and my Facebook is Christa Owens. So check me out there. And I'm going to be, I'll be obviously posting on our progress of what we're doing and just all the other things that I do. So would love to see you, and definitely let me know that you saw me or heard me, not saw me, heard me on Stephanie's podcast if you reach out to me.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who have joined us. Thank you so much for living life in the and with me. You know, this has been another conversation, libation, and revelation. And I just want to say, glasses up, cheers. Here's to keeping it real. This episode was brought to you by Rejuvenate, Radiate, Celebrate You Retreat, taking place November 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Limelight Inn in Dahlonega, Georgia. Join us for a weekend of transformation, rejuvenation, and empowerment. You can discover yourself, connect with like minded women, and emerge renewed and inspired. Our thoughtfully curated programming at the Rejuvenate, Radiate, Celebrate You retreat is designed to guide you through a comprehensive journey of transformation, rejuvenation, and self discovery. You can join us for a harmonious blend of insightful sessions, invigorating activities, and meaningful interactions, all aimed at helping you embrace your fullest potential. If you are ready to join our golden flutter of women committed to being the highest and best version of themselves, please email the team at christopoulos.com with the subject line Golden Flutter, and you will receive an invitation. We hope that you will join this transformative experience to rejuvenate, radiate, celebrate you. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Living Life in the And for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. Please be sure to let me know what made you feel something, what you learned, and what moved you to action. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on a great conversation. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast and let me know how you are living life in the end. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Tell someone else to listen for themselves. We should all be fulfilled. Remember, your life is the product of your choices. Choose to commit to bringing the desires of your heart to completion. You don't get what you deserve until you get what you decide. Life is too long to be unfulfilled.